we should be live, gentlemen.
Awesome.
Awesome. So as usual, chat, let us know if you can hear us, see us. Just let us know in the chat. But yeah, you should be able to hear and see us just fine. And how are you guys doing? Gray, Baz, how you guys been?
Very good,
Great.
brother. Very, very good.
Awesome. It's Gray. It's been here last week. Baz is basically we own the channel now. I mean, it's our channel when it comes to live stream. But
you own the channel. I'm just riding along for the fun of it.
Yeah. It's we're going to talk about interesting things which are not yet defined, but I already know they're going to be interesting for sure.
The old non-structured conversation with a couple wild Pokemon collector and investors. Like, what could go wrong?
Exactly, from different continents.
Yeah, all across the world.
It's 9 p.m. right here, 8 p.m. for Baz, 3 p.m. for Gray.
Mm-hmm.
What else could go wrong? What else did I just fall asleep? It's possible. So let's see. Everyone has been notified. Yeah. So let's wait maybe a couple of minutes. Then we get started.
Yeah.
You guys
Barrett, have you checked the YouTube that it's running? Yeah.
Yeah, YouTube is fine.
Okay.
Audio should be fine.
Yep.
Video
I pulled it up quickly on my phone.
Yeah. I always have it. Yeah, I always have a tab open.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. But yeah, everything should be fine. What else? Yeah, last time we went live at 2 hours before this, 2 hours earlier. We'll see. But
totally. Yeah, it was good last time. So I'm trying to think, like, what has changed in the last week? I know I just finished editing a video about the Pikachu SIR, since that seems to be all anyone's been talking about the last week or two.
Yeah. I mean, where is it set now? 500?
Seems like it's about that. Yeah, like mid 500s or something like that. When I looked at Pokedata a little bit earlier, it is. It is a hot card for sure, and it's pretty funny seeing. It's just funny, like, watching the reactions and the commentary this time around. I say that because, like, I've got a video. It'll go live tomorrow at my usual time, talking about it. But the whole video is just comparing the Pikachu SIR to the Rainbow Chonkachu from Vivid Voltage. And I feel like that was right as I was getting into the hobby again back in 2020. And it's just so interesting. It feels very similar to that. The fact that it's Pikachu's is kind of just ironic, but the sort of first major new set to be released into a market that is booming, and it's sold out everywhere, and there's lots of hype, and the prices have gotten kind of crazy compared to what we expect for a new release. And the last time I went through this, I was just a beginner, kind of reacclimatizing myself to the market and these types of scenarios that play out. And this time it just feels like history repeating itself, which is really interesting.
But I have a question for you. Is the market booming just because it is, or is the market booming because of Surgeon?
Yeah, it's super interesting. I do think it's showing signs of a boom, but it depends on how you define the boom, and it depends on what happens from here. Like, I can't look at it and say definitively yes. And the reason for me is because, like, one of the definitions you could have for a boom is that everything in the market is appreciating in price, and you'll see certain categories or items do better versus worse. I would say right now, like, vintage and trophy cards and the items that almost initiated and drove the boom back in 2020 haven't really changed. Like, they seem kind of stable still. Like, not much has changed. I'm not scrutinizing it. I haven't been following the data precisely, so it's very possible we're starting to see life there. But what I've seen so far is this surge in demand for modern that hasn't yet trickled back into vintage. And I think that makes an argument that it's not quite a boom if you go by that definition. but my assumption is that it'll eventually translate over. I don't know. That's what I've been thinking a lot about that actually in the last week. Interestingly enough, because I
feel like
go ahead.
I mean, it had been moving, but it wasn't really moving that much before surging. And it definitely it got quicker after surging. So
the thing is, so I don't think this is a popular opinion, but I don't like surging that much. Like I think it's
Thank you.
There we are. Me and Baz are on the same page.
I am on the same page with you. While you guys were talking, guess what I had up? I had a tab of the set list from Surging Sparks. Hot take. I'm not a big fan, okay? This Pikachu being the price it is, I'm not understanding this at all. I'm not understanding how this is a $500, $600, $700 card. Okay, it's nice. It's a Pikachu. I actually like the crystal hats. Some people don't. I don't mind them. When the Obsidian Flames Charizard came out, all of my friends in Pokemon were like, "Oh, it's trash. It's rubbish. It looks horrible. It's got this crystal hat on." I was like, "What are you talking about? Have you seen the rest of the artwork? That's actually a really sick Charizard. I really like it." And then the Pikachu comes out, and I think I actually like the crystal hat as well, but it's not a really special card. The artwork isn't, in my opinion, okay, you know, fight me in the comments down below, guys, but I am really not seeing how this is worth the same that sort of money. It's mind-boggling. And the set, for me, I'm not saying it's terrible, but having looked at the set list over and over again, I'm really trying to work out how there is so much hype, or why there is so much hype, and it's literally giving me the same what you just said, Gray, the Vivid Voltage vibes. It was actually around the same time I also started getting back into ripping and opening, and I wasn't even investing at the time. I was literally just buying product and ripping through any ETB, any ancillary products, you know, collection boxes, the you know, the 1999, 24.99 boxes, anything I could get my hands on. And you know, it just has the same vibe of the Chonkachu, you know, to me. And I'm not seeing it, bro. I'm really not. Maybe I'm missing something that's smacking me straight in the face, but I'm not seeing it at all. And I agree with you. Thank you for saying it.
Yeah. The thing I'll say about it, because I think, to me, so I've been bullish on Scarlet and Violet from the beginning, because I think the shift to adding all these illustration rares and special illustration rares as chase cards over padding the set with a bunch of rainbow rares, I think it's been a huge update. So in the context of, I think it's a great set. If I go back at history and look at Sword and Shield pre-alt arts, and even with the alt arts, you know, the alt art hits were so rare in the context of the whole set that the experience of opening the sets was pretty rough, right? Like we all have, you know, the names Chilling Pain and Evolving Cries, like those all exist for a reason, because they had some amazing hits, but you very rarely got to experience them yourself. Like I think on the whole, the hobby's in a way better place. But why I say I don't think it's that good of a set is I think it is a solid set in the current context. Like every set in the Scarlet and Violet era, for the most part, has been pretty damn good, especially with all those amazing hits. I don't see Surging Sparks exceeding that in any significant way, which is kind of like what Vivid Voltage was. It was an awesome set for the time because the best cards we had were rainbow rares, and the rainbow rare Pikachu was a cool looking card. The Chonkachu is fun. Like I've got the statue from Celebrations here. I think Chonkachu is sick. I really dig it. So in that respect, it was good. And the addition of the amazing rares was something extra in the set to actually chase. So on average, it was an above average set for that time. But then we headed into the era of the alternate arts. We had Shining Fates. We ended up with the trainer gallery sets in the final year. And Pokemon kept elevating the quality of the sets that followed it, which I think combined with reprints made the pop, like it was hot for a moment when it was the hottest thing, but it wasn't strong enough to carry it in the face of all the innovations that came afterwards. So the popularity shifted and the reprints hit. And so the set kind of bombed. I think Surging Sparks is like in the exact same position. Strong set for what's come out so far, but doesn't differentiate itself enough. And in the face of Prismatic Evolutions and the Trainers Pokemon and the Team Rocket sets, like the things we know are coming in the next year, I think it's going to look pretty weak in comparison when we look back on it a year from now, which is like exactly what happened with Vivid Voltage. So instead, you just have an overhyped set because it's the newest, hottest thing in a market that has demand suddenly exceeding the supply capabilities of Pokemon, and it's just like a little mini bubble. That's what I think.
Well, I don't want to say I want to disagree. However, it is also
Just say
true
it.
that-
Say
but
it.
I'll say it. But I'll say it is also true that we're ready. Vivid Watch was what SV3. Sorry, Sword and Shield third set. Sword and
Yeah.
Shield.
Yeah. It was pretty early on in the Sword and Shield relative to.
So
Surging
and
Sparks.
we're
Yeah, it was the third
Here-
set, I think.
yeah. So and we already have we had 7 sets if you count main sets here. So that's one difference. But
Mhm.
I gotta say, we have a set with the Pikachu, a Latias, and call it whatever you want, Milotic, Milotic, call it whatever you want, Milotic. Which, if you think about any set think about SIRs, so max rarity, if you want to, Yu-Gi-Oh players would call it like that, max rarity.
Mhm.
You have 3 strong Pokemon. I think it only comes down to maybe 151 having the same amount of, well-known popular Pokemon. And you have tough pull rates for these cards. So you have fan favorites. You have tough pull rates. Yes, as you said, I do. Obviously, I think we have to agree when it comes to potentially the best set that came out so far. Are we going to get anything better? Who knows? Prismatic Evolution is looking pretty good. Have you seen the other releases for the other SIRs within Prismatic Evolutions?
I saw the leak of like
Yeah.
the low res images of all the SIRs for sure.
So those are like mid tier, nothing crazy in my opinion.
I think the Umbreon's going to look really cool when we finally see it in person. But
Yeah.
I agree that there is. Well, if you put it side by side with EV Heroes, it doesn't quite
yeah.
hit the same to me.
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I
I'm
think
scrolling-
we'll need to see those cards in person. Once we are holding them, or we have a full release, and we are able to see the texture. There's so many cards like this that when you see them, just 2-dimensionally on a screen, they just don't look. They don't just hit the same. And there's loads of cards I've changed my mind on over the years.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think for me personally, I think that they could be great. They don't look at first glance. They don't look like they're like that level of stature.
Yeah.
But we'll have to wait and see once we actually have the official reveals to see exactly what the texturing is like, how much those cards are popping. And I think then it'll be like you can make a more objective sort of. Again, these you can't really make forget what I just said. You can't make an objective opinion on it because
No.
what's great to Barrett might be terrible to me, and what's terrible to me
Yeah.
might be even more awful to Gray. So it is all about subjectivity. But I do largely agree that I think that the cards are, from what I've seen so far, they seem a bit like mid-tier. Maybe when they do come out and we see them face to face, then it might change our opinions. But for now, that's sort of where I sit with it.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be really cool, but
Yeah.
we won't know till we see it. I definitely agree. The one thing I'll call out is we've seen the leak of, I guess, like 9 SIRs, right? And the set apparently has 32 special illustration rare Pokemon and supporter cards. So like we're just even with that leak, it's like we have no idea what we're stepping into with this set.
Wait, there has been another leak about.
There was a leak of four or 6 cards. There were 6 cards, right?
Like a
The Goldengo. Goldengo. That was a
That's
cool
true.
one.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
actually
Those were
really
pretty
like the
nice.
Goldengo.
Those are like, I mean, I like the evolutions. I think
Yeah, those are great.
Those SARs
That-
are great. If I
That
mean,
adds 5 more. So 14 out of 32. Like we're not even halfway to seeing what
half.
we're gonna get out of this.
but
set.
to be fair, I feel like you needed a set like EV Euros, just the evolutions. You would have had a great set.
Yeah.
Putting other cards, you're just destroying pull rates, which is, I mean, it's good if you want to open a set and actually pull something good, but you're not pulling, what you
32 SIRs is a lot, man.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
That's because this is the end of year high class set, right? This is where like the
Yeah.
Japanese business, they go out of their minds and just produce an insane set with just overwhelming number of things that people are going to want. They're doing what they always do. I think it's gonna.
By the way,
be a banger.
Barrett, the only
Yeah.
reason you said you like the Evolution cards is because you're an evil investor and you know that Evolutions do well.
No, I mean, I like the Umbreon. The other ones are like fine, but the Umbreon looks pretty.
I'm only joking, by the way.
The
But,
evil
but-
investor club over
but-
here.
Yeah.
Speaking of high set, does that mean Shiny Treasure is 1 year old
It does.
and it's still at retail in Japan?
Still dirt cheap.
Think about that. And
I can still
we've
get cases at really reasonable prices as well. Like they're really reasonable.
you can get it on Amazon JP for retail 5,400.
By the way, Vivid Voltage was the 5th set in Sword and Shield.
Sorry.
That's including
Yeah.
special sets.
Yeah, so it was the 4th main set. So we had Sword and Shield base, Rebel Clash, Darkness Ablaze, Champion's Path, which was a specialty set, and then we had Vivid Voltage.
I can never remember if Champion's Path was before or after Vivid Voltage. But
Yeah,
that was
it's the
right
set
when I
just
got
before.
in. I remember seeing like Reddit posts about people like, I found Champion's Path in Walmart. Oh my god.
I tried pulling that Charizard so much. You know how many Champions Path packs I bought? It was unbelievable.
Oh, man.
Unbelievable. I actually I've got like a bunch of sealed, like they did these special boxes with 4 packs in each of them. I think they were called the Turfield Gym packs. And they were like these green boxes. And I think there was a guy on eBay that was selling, I think, 12 of them. I said, you know what, I'm just going to buy them because, I just need so as much. I got some Champions Path ETBs and other stuff as well. But yeah, I just ended up picking up. I'd never open those. Maybe those are something that if they ever go up in the future, I'll just rip them open and keep the ETBs. But yeah, it was one of those crazy sets, man. The hype around the Charizard again, that was crazy.
I think I did a video talking about the Shiny Charizard V from that set because it's like the weirdest outlier. It's the only base V card in all of the Sword and Shield era that has the sort of sparkly VMAX treatment.
Yeah.
Like every other V has texture, but it's more like, it's like the baby shiny treatment in the full art. Like if you look at Shining Fates, all the full art shinies have some texture, but they're just bigger versions of the baby shiny treatment. And that sparkling treatment was reserved only for the shiny VMAXs, except for that Shiny Charizard V. And it's actually this like one case where because of that, I think the English version looks way better than the Japanese version, which is just a normal full art shiny from Shiny Star V. Whereas the Charizard VMAX is like the special kind of sparkly one. So I'm a huge fan of that card. I think it's really unique and weird. Purely existed to make Champion's Path not a garbage set. Like that set outside of the addition of those Charizards was it was a little rough.
So I think we got a question for you guys.
It's a great question.
I think it's I'll let you guys take it.
You want to kick that off, Baz?
2021. I'm just trying to think back because look, I wasn't really actively investing at that point. So I wasn't even aware of the fact that there was like this crazy hype in the market, So for me, I was still at the point where I was still buying packs from like big box retailers. I was picking up anything and everything, and I was just ripping stuff open. Yeah, there was some stuff I left, sort of put aside. I wish I'd put stuff away like Evolving Skies. And the funny thing is that I was buying Evolving Skies booster boxes for like retail for like 144 here in London. And I was just going and picking up from the local toy store and then just ripping them open. Never pulled a Moonbreon. I pulled a couple of other VMAXs, but never pulled the Moonbreon. And I wasn't really that aware of it. I think at the time, all I remember is that I was looking at graded cards a lot more. I wasn't looking at a lot of sealed Pokemon product at the time. And all I noticed was that anything that was like a Charizard related a PSA sort of 10-9, they were massively like high. But for me, that was just like the level that they were at anyway. I didn't realize that they were being pumped or that the market was being manipulated in a way where like anything and everything that was crap. I actually lost, like, interestingly enough, you guys were speaking last week about like losses, right? I probably lost more money on graded cards during that period of time than I did on sealed product. Anything that I bought sealed product wise would have gone up since then, right? But I just ended up buying a ton of just like crappy Charizard cards. Like, well, not, I wouldn't say crappy, but like low value, which are now low value Charizard cards for like hundreds of dollars. And that's my real recollection of 2021, to be totally honest with you, because I wasn't even in the whole investor mindset type of, I was just ripping packs and buying graded cards, and it was just money down the drain for me. That's all I remember from that period.
Yeah, so I started collecting again kind of right as Vivid Voltage was being released, but I got reintroduced to the idea of Pokemon cards. I always find I'm sort of embarrassed of this after the fact, but I watched some like clips, and then I watched like the entirety of Logan Paul's first box break, and it was, vintage Pokemon base set, and I was just like, oh my god, this is so cool. It's like getting all that nostalgia from my childhood. And then it was I started just getting recommended tons of Pokemon content on YouTube, and I was like watching all of it. And what triggered me, like I got started because I watched a video of PokeRev just like mass ripping Evolutions booster packs and saw that it was like base set again, except it was cheap relatively. And I had no idea. I started looking up prices, and I was like, I can buy a booster box of Evolutions, which is all reprints of my favorite cards from my childhood, for like $500. And I thought that was the steal of the century because I'm comparing it to base set booster boxes. I had no idea that these booster boxes were like, I don't know, 150, 100. Like 3 months earlier, I could have got them so cheap, but I was buying right as the prices started to surge. But it didn't matter. I had so much fun opening. I opened one of them, two of them in the end, actually. And I was so hooked. And then I just started buying stupid shit like people do. I shouldn't say stupid shit is a bad word. There was definitely some stupid shit. There was just a lot of mistimed purchases. Nothing like devastating. Everything I bought that was mistimed, I still have in my collection. I still love it. But there was a lot of kind of silly things that I bought during that time. However, I think, Baz, like you, I got exposed to the idea of sealed investing. I couldn't tell you, like, I love sealed, like I'm a sealed collector. Like the only thing that I actually collect now is I like to have at least one of every Japanese booster box of every set. Like that is like, as a collector, that's what I collect. And I don't know why I love it, but because of that, it was easy to also buy some extras and treat it as an investment and start building a little bit of a collection that way. And those things have generally done well. So while I made some stupid purchases, mostly with like singles and some graded cards, the sealed stuff has done pretty well, which is nice. And I think to bring it back to the question about like what is different between this market and the last market is, I don't think we just haven't seen the full extent of how this market's going to change. Like there's sort of the initial feeling or similarities between the last boom, where at least brand new releases are really hard. Like, for Prismatic Evolutions, I'm back on Pokemon Center, like hit and refresh, doing everything I can to like get product into my cart and check out. Like just that whole got to be on, get the alerts. You jump on to like whatever website has product at decent prices. You deal with like the bots and the crashing servers and just try over and over again to complete a purchase because that's the only way to get something at a reasonable price. That feels very similar, but we're also only seeing the very beginning of it. So
I think
last time, it'll just continue for the next 6 months
Yeah,
to a year.
just to elaborate on what you're saying as well, I think one thing we know for sure, or I know for sure, that is definitely different now than it was in 2021. Although I wasn't actively investing. And by the way, shout out to Poker Vault. I was watching Poker Rev anyway, and I'd come across, obviously, everyone's come across Leonhardt, Poker Rev, the massive YouTubers. Shout out to those guys. But the first guy that actually introduced me to investing, the idea of investing, was Poker Vault, Sean. And he made a few videos on grading cards and how they've gone up in value and that sort of thing. That's why I kind of first started with the graded cards as opposed to sealed product. But then when he started talking about sealed product, then I started it was more in 2022 that I started collecting like a bunch of the RCSV figure collection. I've still got like tons of them sitting in my storage. I never touched them, left them. The boxes that arrived damaged, I just ripped them open because they had Evolving Skies and Cosmic Eclipse in there. But the one thing, coming back to the question, I think the one thing that has definitely changed and has evolved, pardon the pun, is the fact that now there are even more people that are aware and in this space that are here to buy Pokemon product for the purposes of investing. The amount of people that I have now asking me about investing in Pokemon is insane. And back then, when I told people, I buy these boxes and I just keep them in plastic and I put them in my storage, they'd laugh at me. Now those same people are coming to me asking me, bro, like, I know you've got distribution. Can you maybe get me a case of, Prismatic? I'm like, no, I can't. No, I can't. Because if I get a case, it's for me. The point I'm making is that as the timeline progresses, we are going to see more and more and more people coming into the space. And I'll give you a really good indicator of why. If you look at all of the Pokemon investment channels, mine and Barrett's aside, because we're still fairly new and young in terms of our channel ages, but a lot of the Pokemon investing channels that are consistently putting investment content out, I look at sub numbers and sub counts. They are increasing day on day and day exponentially over the last 2 to 3 years. So that just shows that there are more people interested in it. There are more people watching it, consuming it, following the advice, following the plays. And naturally, 2024 and 2025 is going to be drastically different. There's just more people. In 2021, I could still go and buy product. Like it was difficult, don't get me wrong, but I could still find product freely in big box retailers, and now it's like, I picked this one up today just for the stream. I thought, let me just put a couple of things in the background so people know I
ETB?
am. Just the Surging Sparks ETB. 44. I paid £44 for it, and I want to get some cases. So basically, one of my main distros never allocated me the number of cases I wanted for it, but that's a long story short. But I think back then you could still get product, and there was a lot of hype, but I think there were just not as many eyeballs on things as they are now. And if you just look at the sub counts on the people that talk about Pokemon business and investing, it's exponentially grown. Even somebody like me who makes like very boring, not great investment content, it's not super engaging. I've been able to get, a bunch of people that regularly watch my content, and I'm only putting videos out like once every couple of weeks whenever I can be bothered. And the guys that are consistently doing it are just getting a ton of views, and that's got to be real people that are interested in the space. So I think that's definitely a big difference than it was in 2021.
Well, connected to that one, which I'd like you to answer this other question, which connects to what you just said about increased popularity. So
awareness.
So the last video I did was about Surgeon, and I showed. So as you know, I only have European data. I showed that at least for the European Union, before release, so pre-release, you had the same number of boxes and cases of Surgeon, as well as any other prior Scarlet and Violet sets. The numbers before release of available boxes for sale were the same. For Surgeon, they just dropped. So it appears that rather than a supply issue, it's a demand. There's just an unseen for as Scarlet and Violet era level of demand. And this seems just to upset people apparently because they don't really comprehend it for some reason. But yeah, the numbers were the same. We're in the 1,000 plus boxes available, and for Paradox, Temporal, Paldea, they stayed with the 1,000 range. Then Paldea dropped to 400 to 500. The others still within the 1,900 ish, and Surgeon just dropped to 200.
Barrett, how accurate is that data though?
Well, I mean,
I'll ask you I'll tell you why I'm asking you this question. Can I have an account on Card Market and just list 500 boxes of XYZ product?
Yeah, you could.
And even though I don't have them,
you could. I mean, that would. I don't know if it's against Card Market terms and and conditions, so you could get in trouble for that. But you could. Oh wait, sorry. You cannot list unless you're a store. So you're like a what's it called professional seller. I think it's called a Card Market. You can't list more than 2 boxes.
Okay.
So you got to be a professional seller, which is usually some sort of online store or a LGS to list several.
At the end of the day, I think I'm sure the data is reasonably accurate, accurate. It's just it's contained to a single market. Like in North America, we lean a lot on TCG Player for market data just because they make it available. But it's just it's just one market, and we've seen things where for whatever reason supply gets a little low for a bit for a given product, the price starts surging, and you're like, oh my god, like this product's blowing up, it's going to the moon, and then more people just start listing it, and the price kind of normalizes and comes back down. And if you compare sales across like TCG Player and eBay at any given time, when you see those kinds of surges in prices on TCG Player, if it's not happening on eBay as well, it's a little bit of a better sign. It's just a little like market bubble, just fueled by whatever. People go to TCG Player to buy stuff, and sometimes the supply gets low. But it's still useful. I think it's still useful insight, and there's stuff to be taken from it for sure. Yeah.
I mean, still take it with a pinch of salt, but I think it's still great to see that it's not that it was sharp printed. They're just huge demand. That's about it. And I guess
you're welcome, Wilson, by the way. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
Like the video. Guys, anyone watching, like the video. Share it. Feel free to share it as well. Yeah, I need to like that. 1 second.
Hit that like button.
Somebody read Wilson's comment, sorry, while I...
Do you ever think about worry that what the effect these new investors could have in the future for your investing and the hobby of collecting as a whole? Good question.
It's a great question. I could definitely speak to it, but yeah, go ahead if you want, Barrett.
Well, what I'll say is I'll be quick. I mean, if they're in for the short term, and potentially most are, you're just going to be, some store liquidity as they need to buy boxes. Let's say they want to buy Surgeon now. They're going to buy Surgeon now. Let's say they watch some of our or someone else's video saying, oh, it's a great time to buy Solar Tempest. It's a great time to buy Lost Origin, and we sell. And Lost Origin, Solar Tempest, they're going to be out of liquidity. So I think they're great if you can sell them product. Long term, I think Alex from Nostalgianomics talked about it at some point. Don't know where he got the data. I'm gonna say that, but it did say how many people stay in the hobby for 6 to 9 months, then they quit. Once again,
Yeah.
don't know, don't remember. I don't know if he even said it where the data was taken from. Probably just a bit experienced, but I know he has much more experience than I do. I'll say that. But I don't know. I think they're great. Let's say someone comes in and they want to buy a black and white box because they grew up during black and white
Like you.
here, but I don't have the money, so I won't buy it. I think, yeah, I think they're good. I don't see any problem with them.
Zach.
It's good. Yeah, your take, guys.
I mean, I think every time there's a surge and a rise in popularity and prices start hitting all-time highs, you do have to pause and start thinking, like, what are the odds of this maintaining itself over the long term? With the last surge, we saw, from what I can tell, and I wasn't collecting back in like 2016 or prior to that, but we saw a pretty remarkable scenario play out where the popularity of Pokemon cards surged dramatically and then settled down as it does, and prices kind of came down with it. But relatively, there seemed to be a ton of people like, you know, myself and Baz and others who entered the hobby at that time and didn't just stick around for like the 6 months to a year and were like, nah, man, like this is me. I'm in this for the long term. Whereas when I look at least at like Google Trends data for Pokemon card searches, back in 2016, there was a huge surge, and we hear about the demand surging around the time Evolutions came out. But it registers, at least in search queries, as this crazy blip that like went down as fast as it went up. Whereas in 2020, we see it shoot up a ton and then kind of like stay flat and move a little sideways, maybe down a little. And now we're up again from that.
Yeah.
So the question is just, and I know that I'm talking about general demand for Pokemon, not the effect of these investors, but last time there was a ton of people who came in and were interested in investing, bought sealed product to hold, bought in larger quantities, which does create a bit of an artificial demand if it doesn't stick around. But despite that, the hobby stayed really strong in the years that followed, and now it looks like we're heading into this other boom. So I personally feel like Pokemon's doing a lot of the right things to maintain the interest and passion of their collectors and fans. And I think, I'm obviously hoping we're going to see a similar type of result where for all the surge in interest, a lot of people stick around. And I'm not sure that the number of investors as a part of that plays any kind of significant role in whether it will be kind of long-term and sustainable. That's how I'm thinking about it right now, at least.
My perspective on it is actually quite unique. To be fair, I like the fact that there are all these people that are just adding fuel to the fire. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I like that is because it brings awareness to the hobby. And I think Promptu actually said it in a comment here. 2020 saw a lot of new investors too. These are people that go in and out of the hobby, and things boom and bust, and Pokemon lives on. And the reason why I don't mind it is because, as I said, it adds fuel to the fire. And by and large, most people that enter the hobby are not likely, especially if they're just here for investing, they are unlikely to be here for the long term, right? And what's going to end up happening is that they might be here for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months later. They're just, a large majority of them are likely not to be around. Okay, this is in all markets, not just Pokemon's not unique to this, by the way. People that start day trading often stop day trading very, very soon. People that try building, just investing in stocks and shares, that either, if they're trying to actively trade the stock market, they'll be finished very soon unless they're just passively investing and they've got money in S&P 500 or whatever, right? So for me, it's like these people will come and they will go. All they're doing in the interim is they're adding fuel to the fire, and they're going to be gone at some point, right? And the other aspect to that is that Pokemon will always have, and I've spoken candidly about this before, I think that Pokemon will always have the next gimmick, okay? At the moment, we've got the crystal hats, we've got, the remakes of I'm looking at Prismatic Evolutions and I'm thinking that that's potentially just because we've seen the success of, we'll never know because Pokemon Company International do what Pokemon Company International do. And they've probably got a pipeline for the next 10, 12, 15 years, right? But they know what works and they know what sells, okay? For them to come out with another evolution set this quickly after EV Heroes,
Yeah.
as well as Evolving Skies, is basically just them going money money counter goes burr burr burr. It's just making stuff that they know people are going to buy, and whatever it is in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years time, that is going to drive the masses back into this space. Pokemon have the capacity and the capability to put that into action and put that into play. So in the short term, people coming into the hobby and investing in it, they're not going to be here in the long term. And also, you know what the average person does is they come in, they'll buy high, because the market right now is not really a buyer's market. It's a seller's market, right? And
Totally.
the problem is all of the people, and I'm guilty of this. When I first came into the hobby, I would have bought stuff at inflated prices. I remember picking up an Evolutions booster box just because of all the hype around Evolutions around post 2020, right? I paid like £650 for a booster box.
Mhm.
That's a lot of money. In dollars, that's like $700-800 at the time.
So
And
Jay, there's someone who was willing to pay more than you, so don't feel bad.
of course, I'm sure. And I'm
I
sure
paid a high price, but the price has never gotten back down to what I paid. So I've never been punished for it.
Yeah,
Lucky
and
you.
I'm quite lucky. I've not been punished for it either. I mean, they're selling now for about, I wouldn't make a loss on that box, even if I was to take fees and stuff out, right?
It's like 860 on TCG Player, I think.
How
right
much?
Now. 860 US.
Yeah. So I
TCG
mean,
Player.
I would at least as a minimum, make my money back on that box, even if I was to pay 13, 14, 15%. But the point I'm making is that I am still here. The reality though is that many other Blastoises will come into the hobby, but they won't be here 2-3 years from now, and they will buy high and they will sell low when they need to panic, and then you'll have that cycle continuing on. As Prompto has just said, we have that boom and bust, and then Pokemon will have the next best thing that comes up. Like you can only start to imagine all the different. Look at Pokemon Pocket, right? Look at those cards.
Oh.
Now imagine in 3 years' time, and I hope they don't do. If they do it, they don't do what they did with Pokemon Go and end up making the set, 4 or 5 years after the game's been out. If they were, for instance, to make some of those illustration, I think they're illustrated rares or whatever they are, the immersive rares. Sorry.
Yeah.
Bro, imagine they just make that Charizard, that Pikachu, that Mewtwo into real cards. What that would do to the market. Just think about it. If Pokemon in Q2 2025 said, Apex, whatever Genetic Apex, we are doing a real version of Genetic Apex with all of those special cards in the set. Are you telling me people aren't going to go absolutely flipping crazy? They are going to go crazy, and everyone's going to be doing what they're doing in the Costco's and all the big box stores. We see people grabbing pallets and pallets of product. The same thing's going to happen again. So all it takes is for Pokemon to come up with one little strategy just like this that's so simple to just replicate what they've done and put it out in the market, and it's going to set everything on fire again, and you'll have a bunch of different Timmies that come back into the market looking to become investors again, and the cycle will continue. That's just my take on it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good perspective on it, and I do really like the idea that a lot of the investors and people who take the investor mindset, they kind of just exaggerate the otherwise trend of the market, which is like when prices start going up, if people take the investor mindset, they buy more, therefore kind of artificially inflating the demand, which then drives the prices up even more, which is in the current market. Ultimately what that does is it just brings more attention to Pokemon as a whole, because as much as people like to deny it, I think, Barrett, did we talk about this last week? Like, I think the average collector cares a lot more about the prices and like the value than they like to admit. And when prices are going up, that's when there's more commentary about it. People talk about it. And then the next thing you know, average people are like, oh shit, there's a lot of value in this. Like, I could pull a really valuable card from this set. I'll check it out. They buy some packs and it sucks them in. And not all of those people are going to just bail in 6 months. A lot will, but a lot will have fun and stick around. And I think the more of these cycles you see, because I feel like I'm really only witnessing my second cycle like this. But I feel so much more confident and better prepared to navigate this market as a result. And I have a lot of long-term confidence in the hobby beyond this. Like, I think there is just such strong underlying excitement and passion for Pokemon. Pokemon's doing a lot of the right things, and the nail for me, like the last thing I really want to see is what the hell the next generation mainline game is going to look like. Because I think they can fuck it up. They can pull, a Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet and keep kind of under delivering on people's hopes and dreams. I think they can still get away with it.
Yeah.
But I also know that there's more pressure than ever before for them to actually deliver what people are really hoping for. And I don't think they're going to get there, but the closer they get, then even the more solid I feel about the future of the hobby. So we'll see.
Well, I want to add on that. You guys said it all, and I think this one is a pretty interesting question from Pokemon Player 200. So, well, thank you for watching, man. Are you actively collecting or working on anything neat in the space? Collecting boxes, making content, buying, selling singles, blah 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 blah.
Barrett, why don't you answer? Me and Gray have been talking a lot. I feel like you haven't said anything in this podcast.
I mean, that's why I have you here. Otherwise, I would have just recorded a video myself.
So you're just basically whoring us out for the views.
Yeah, exactly. And you're not even getting paid for it.
You're getting all my watch hours, by the way. You're gonna have to come on my channel next.
I can give you some more advice if you want.
Look, I think the people want to know, what is Barrett? What is his special project or neat?
Exactly.
Neat. I don't know. Yeah, I like that.
I am working on a collection goal, which is going to be the only collection. I think I mentioned it last time. I just want to at least one. I mean, just one pack of every Sword and Shield onwards Japanese packs. So one,
I love that.
one of each set, and because I think they look cool, so I don't need to buy the R set, just one pack. Yes, there are a bit more sets, but still, they're cheaper. So I think it'll look like a great display piece. So that's just a collection, which is going to be cheap. So I've been slowed down by school. If you guys don't know, I'm doing my master in just pure mathematics. So that takes quite some time, and I've been focused on that. I haven't made as much content. I've had the time to look at singles, to look at data, analyze the data that I get, which is available via the bottom Discord, as I did in the past, and I was able to make some pretty cool gains, just by not by grading like many people do, just by looking at data and try to predict moves. And I made a video about it. So unfortunately, there's not much cooking. I'm buying those packs, and I buy something to just hold for long term and see the opportunity. Unfortunately, that's about it. Pretty boring, but life is life, and school is important, kids. Stay in school.
School is important. I'll give you a quick rundown of what I'm doing, because I actually do have a few goals and ambitions I want to achieve. Now, initially, I wanted to hit 1,000 subs this year. I don't think that's going to happen. I've not been consistent enough. I think that's something that I've really struggled with. And I think a lot of people that first come on YouTube probably do struggle with this, is having the consistency and putting content out on a regular basis. For me, it's like I want to make content that also people appreciate, and it's not just churning it out for the sake of churning it out. And it needs to mean something to me. But anyway, that's besides the point. I think from a collection goals point of view, and I'll come back to the 1,000 subs in a minute, from the collections point of view, I used to have the aim of having a booster pack of every single English set since the beginning of time. I think that that's probably financially not really going to work out for me. I mean, I've had even crazy. At one point, I wanted to have like every single of the Charizard, Venusaur, and Blastoise PSA 10 cards from base set all the way up. This is when I first joined the hobby, by the way. I felt like I needed, and actually that your point from last week, Gray, really resonated with me, because I felt as if like that is something I needed to have just to belong. I'm not really a collector without it, but I quickly realized and learned that that's going to be an impossible mission for me to accomplish anytime soon. And would I really want to spend that kind of money on 3 or 4 different cards from each, era? So I had this, but I think more realistic for me is like, I've completed Sword and Shield. I've got quite a lot of what came before Sword and Shield now? Sun and Moon, sorry. So I've got quite a lot of Sun and Moon boxes. It would be nice if I could collect at least a sealed product from every set in Sun and Moon. And then I've got obviously booster boxes for every single Sword and Shield set, and ETBs or the like for specialty sets in Sword and Shield. So like I've got the Charizard UPC and there's other things that came out during that period. And then from this moment forward, I will have at least a booster box, if not a case, of every single Scarlet and Violet set going into the future. But more from like a content creation space, what my goal is to get to the point where I can monetize the channel and I can have channel memberships. But the idea for me is that to utilize the cost of that membership, not to pay me anything, because even if I had 1,000 subs, you're probably not going to have all 1,000 subscribers paying you a fee per month, right? You might have, I don't know, 15 to 20 people that might be interested in paying you, whatever it is, $2 a month or whatever whatever it is you charge. The idea is that those people get access to exclusive, almost a little bit like what Rudy does, but without the profit-making element in it. So I obviously have distributor accounts, 3 of them in the UK, and I don't get huge allocations because I don't buy big numbers, right?
Yeah.
So for instance, I'd really dropped the bag a lot when 151 ETBs came out. They allocated me. I had put down an order for 10 cases, right? I got 10 cases. The day it came to buy, I didn't have the entire funds for those. This is when English 151 ETBs were coming out, right? And I ended up only purchasing 5 of them. Like I missed out on the other 5. And if I didn't have enough time to go and get the cash or speak to somebody, and I hate borrowing money. But anyway, the long and short of what I want to do with my subscriber base, and also extended it maybe out to people on the Discord and stuff, especially on your Discord, because it's quite active, Barrett. But it's to be able to allow me to be able to purchase at distro rates and then pass on those benefits to the subscribers or the people that are subscribed to the channel, so they get some value back without me making a profit on that product. For me, it just means that I can buy more product more regularly, pass on the savings to the channel subscribers, whilst also being able to keep some sealed product for myself and them getting a great deal on it. Now, what they do with that product they're on in the future is up to them. So those are kind of like some of the ideas I had. The other idea I had was, if I have enough people that when I get to this point where I can have channel subscriptions, to just have like, I don't know, monthly, whatever the value of the channel memberships is, I'll just buy product and then we just do giveaways, but then do it in a way where like it's sort of rotated. So like if somebody's already won a giveaway, then somebody else gets the opportunity, and so on and so forth, because everyone's paying for that membership. So those are just kind of some of the things that I'm working on with regards to trying to do with the content and with the channel. But I don't really buy singles. I don't really collect, other than what I rip open. I don't actively seek out singles. I don't do many grading plays, although there are some, there are obviously some grading plays out there. I don't have the privilege of being in the States, and I wish I did, because if I was, I would probably do a lot more grading plays, because I could get stuff to PSA very, very quickly. I don't need to use a middleman. I don't need to get it in a FedEx box and ship it across the the Atlantic Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, right? Halfway across the globe, and then for it to have to come back. And then first to market always works with PSA, especially where the hype cards are all involved, right? So but I'll definitely do more of that if we had PSA in the UK, or I was able to get them there very quickly and back. But yeah, so it's just, for me, it's really focusing on sealed product. Also, another thing I just wanted to mention is that if anybody's new in the hobby, like my take on investing is long term, right? I would highly recommend, if you don't want to get burnout, don't sit there on an everyday basis, on a day-to-day basis, just looking at the individual prices of every single thing that interests you in the hobby. You are going to get burned out so quickly. I'm at a stage now where, and I'm not telling you you have to do that, I'm just giving you advice of what's happened to me. I'm at a stage now where when something comes out, I don't really feel massively hyped. Yes, sometimes I do FOMO into things. We're all human beings. We all want to have a piece of the, what everybody else has got a part of. But I'm like, it's not very much excites me too quickly now. I like to sit back and just watch what happens, watch what comes out. Like even like I did a video on the prismatic evolutions, the EVs, like the SIRs, and I saw a bunch of other videos prior to that. I think Rob Does Pokemon did one about, and he did mention in his video to say that he's not sure because there was another Moonbreon, like a fake one, like a fan art. And for me, I could have made that video, but I didn't because I was like, I don't know if this is real right now. Let me just sit back, see whether or not this is real, whether this is actually something that is true. And if it is, then I'll make a video. But it wasn't the case anyway. And then when I saw the Evolutions SIRs, I actually went to the physical website, Smith's Toys in the UK, and I checked it and it was there. And that then kind of got me a little bit excited because I knew that this is confirmed. But generally, when it comes to like investing stuff as well, like I'm not sitting there on a week by week basis, tracking prices, data points, how many boxes are being sold on eBay, what prices are they being sold at. For me, I just want to know, can I get Prismatic Evolutions ETBs from my distro at the price that I can buy them at distribution price? Okay. If not, what's the next best price? Where am I going to store it? How long am I going to store it for? And that's all I care about, right? Whereas some people, they're really like on the ball constantly checking prices, constantly checking the market. And that's just not me as a person, as an individual. I just buy stuff if I can pick up a case or some booster boxes. Now with like, I'm picking up Fusion Strike like as much as I can. Obviously, I'm not spending thousands of pounds every month, but once or twice a month, because they're still available in the UK, I'm just picking them up. They turn up and I put them away. They turn up and I put them away. I leave one in the house, the rest go into storage. And then I don't even bother looking at what the price is because I know I can't get this for MSRP, for less than MSRP in the UK anyway. So what better than the Pokemon Center? So I'll just pick that up, and I'm not going to care about whether that goes slightly 5% up, 10% down over the next year, 2 years, because I'm not looking to sell that in the next 2 years anyway. But that's kind of where I'm at right now in the hobby and my kind of take and philosophy on things. I know it's not very scientific or mathematical, but it is just like an easy, carefree way of looking at the hobby and enjoying it, because sometimes I'll just open packs for enjoyment now. I don't care anymore like I used to.
Yeah. Trying to like get value out of opening packs. You just got to get value out of the experience, and sometimes it'll work out, but it's like just have fun opening the pack, seeing what you get, and just treating it. I don't even think about the cost. Like I think about the entertainment cost. I'm like, all right, I bought a box for, I'm in Canada, so let's say it's like an ETB for $50 Canadian or whatever, $50-$60. I'm like, I'm going to spend $50-$60. I'm going to get the experience of opening this product and we'll see what we get. And that's how I think about it. But also I don't open a ton of stuff partly because of that, because I'm not like spending hundreds. It's harder for me to justify, I guess, spending hundreds of dollars to open for entertainment versus, I like to open 1 or 2 ETBs of like the latest set because I like the promos. And I like the 3-pack blisters and stuff like that. But yeah, I guess my answer really quick. I only collect sealed Japanese. Basically, I like to have one of every set. I started in Sword and Shield, so I have one of every Sword and Shield era Japanese booster box. And I'm just keeping that up with Scarlet and Violet, which has been so far a very easy collection goal to keep up. There hasn't been a lot of rush. The Japanese product is not surging right now like we've seen English. So that's kind of it. And that makes me happy. So that's what I focus on. But beyond that, obviously, we're here. Right? Content for me is also important. And my new content initiative is I'm starting a newsletter. Specifically just because what I've found, making videos for a long time, and I guess Pokemon videos now for 3 or 4 years now, with only about a year and a half on YouTube. the best thing that came out of that was when I started on YouTube, I started first just sort of spitting my thoughts into the camera, and then I started scripting a lot more and putting a lot more effort into what I said and what insights I was sharing. And the writing process for that became really valuable in helping me work through what I think is going on in the market, how I approach things. It became a bit of a catalyst for a lot of self-exploration. A lot of my content is based on me looking at like my emotional reactions in the market to stuff, you know, when I FOMO'd in and bought things, when I clung on to something that I should have sold because the market was way overvalued and I couldn't bring myself to sell it because I cared about it too much, and trying to pick apart those things and understand what's happening and why. And I think, Baz Toys, to one of your earlier comments, it usually falls back to like any sort of investing behavior, but I have a lot of fun diving into that psychology and understanding how it's affected me and hopefully sharing some insights that help people. And the writing process has been a big part of that. So now I'm just excited to focus a lot of my energy on the writing, and that writing my newsletter will inform what videos I make. It'll hopefully allow me to keep up the videos as well. But that's my main focus right now, and kind of how I'm using the market. Just one of all the Japanese boxes and writing more about Pokemon cards and the Pokemon market and investing, because those are the things that I have the most fun doing.
I like that. I like that a lot. That's pretty cool, man. In fact, I do like your videos as well. I think the way you and obviously not everybody's going to agree with your opinions and your takes on things, right? But I do enjoy the way you sort of you can tell that you've spent the time to script it and to write it and really think about what it is you're trying to articulate. And I think that's why I connected with your content quite early on. And we sort of had conversations. And then when I was doing that big video with, well, it didn't get that many views, but when I did that video with all the other creators,
it's a sweet video though.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool video, man. It's to have all those people in one place was just so good, man. To have, I mean, Pat's in that video and he's got like 1 million subs. Like I never
just crossed 1 million. Yeah. Just
crossed 1 million. Congrats to Pat, by the way. But you know, this is and his team. Obviously, it's not a single effort. Like there's a whole machine behind that. So you know, great for them. But yeah, so coming back to your point about that, I think that's something that I also want to kind of implement a little bit more in my content. It's, you know, to really put thought into scripting and writing what it is I'm trying to articulate, because sometimes I've noticed in my content I'm trying to say something but I'm saying the complete different thing and it's not coming across. Maybe in my head I'm thinking that I'm articulating this in a way that kind of will make sense to the general public, because in my head it makes sense. But I think with your content is very easily digestible, and I think some of the concepts you put across, although as I said, not everybody will agree with it, everyone has differing opinions on content, we can't please everybody at the end of the day. But I think the way you put it together is really like it's really digestible, it's very easy to understand, it kind of and it's a really nice easy watch. In fact, when you do release I watch all your content, by the way. I watch both of your content, and I might not comment on all of them, but sometimes I'll just have it on in my ears. It's almost like a podcast. I'm listening to it like a podcast.
I do the same thing, man. Like 90% of my Pokemon content consumption is just like podcast with my earbuds in. I have YouTube Pro so I can, or Premium or whatever, so I can listen like on my phone without actually streaming the video. It's just the audio, and I just put it in my pocket and listen to tons of stuff. So
I think that's something I would take away from you, because I think that's definitely something that's super important, especially on the content creation side. And I remember Pat actually did tell me this as well. Like he gave me some advice, and it's astounding how much time that gentleman has for people. And he's given me a few bits of advice, and one of the advice he gave me was, look, listen, you need to tell a story. Like, you know, what is the story? What is it you're trying to articulate? Are you telling them quickly enough into the video, because you don't have a long time to get your point of the video across to the audience, right? And obviously that then comes down to the production, the planning, the writing, the all of the little elements that get the hook in. Like, I'll give you a great example of who's really done this really well, actually. It's the Australian guy, Phillips Collectibles. I think he's overtaken Pokeoz now. I think he's overtaken Pokeoz in terms of subscriber count, right?
He's excellent. It's like frustrating. Him and Rob from Rob Does Pokemon. They're both
really good.
They're
as
both
well.
so good. Like I watch their content, I get so frustrated because I'm so impressed by what they put together. But I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, he's
Definitely.
he's
But
crushing
Phillips Collectibles' videos, you can see that in YouTube when his videos pop up on that on your timeline, and the way they move, and it's grabbing your attention. Like, I don't even agree with everything he says, but I have no choice but to click the video, right? And once I'm in, I'm hooked because I'm watching it, and it's got me there for long enough that it's kicking the algo in, and the guy's growing exponentially. So credit to him as well. But that's a really good example of somebody that's taken this idea of the Pokemon niche and been able to really implement a lot of really, his videos are really well planned out, and
Yeah.
to grow to the point that he's grown to in such a short space of time is testament to that. And Rob does Pokemon as well. Rob, the same thing. Like his growth, I think I remember watching Rob when he was only like maybe under 2K subs. It was 1,000 odd subs at the time, and he's just gone. I think he's more than 5K now, right? Very short space of time.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's
speaking of Phillips, it's almost
yeah.
as
Go ahead,
if,
Barrett.
yeah. Speaking of Phillips, it's almost as if it was his job making
Yeah.
video, right?
He says that, and you can tell, like he knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, you can tell. You can definitely tell. At least we know is good at it.
He's excellent at it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been really impressed.
Yeah, it is very impressive.
Sorry, yeah.
Barrett, so what's your goals? Just making money? Evil investor?
Well, that's working out. I guess I'm good at it too.
You are.
Yeah. It's definitely not making money from YouTube. That's for sure.
Oh, Brian's video. I don't know if you guys have watched it. Pokeani's video on monetization. Anybody watching this that hasn't watched that video and you're interested in monetization on YouTube and the Pokemon niche in general, go and watch Pokeani's. I think he did 2 videos. He did an original video on like Cool Trainer Ryan, Leonhardt, Pokerev, and roughly what they would be making in terms of ad revenue for YouTube. He also dives into a little bit of how they make additional income, because believe it or not, even if you're getting hundreds of thousands of views, you're not making thousands and thousands of dollars on a video, right?
Yeah.
But that's really, really intriguing. There's quite a lot of it that I did know anyway to begin with, but it just reinforces a whole bunch of stuff from a creator that's already quite credible, has a decent sub count in the space, and can give you actual real reference and data points as to what to expect as a creator from ad revenue. But it was astounding to me how actually, like you can't rely on ad revenue for income, because this kind of ties into this question which Buddy asked. So what do you guys do aside from Pokemon, YouTube as a main source of income? So for me, it's a great segue actually on this point. So for me, YouTube is never going to be like a way for me to make money, right? If I get a big enough group of people that want to subscribe and enjoy my content, then of course, if there's a point where I can monetize myself, I will do that. I'm not dumb. I'm here. I'm spending time and effort trying to make content for people to enjoy. So I'd like a payback in some way. Okay, now it's not going to be thousands and thousands of dollars, but even just having a little bit of ad revenue kind of makes it worth the time and effort, on top of the fact that I want to produce content for my audience, my core audience base. But for me, I don't think I could ever, rely on unless I got again, like I said, it's unlikely to happen. But if I had a substantial following where I could sell product to, or that's the only way I could really make money from, via the YouTube niche. But I'm a real estate guy. Like I've got several businesses. So I've got one of my business ventures is I deal with real estate in the UK, investing, as well as in the west coast of Africa, as well as in the Middle East. So I'm a super busy guy. I'm spread across like 3 or 4 time zones. I deal with people in the States. I deal with people in West Africa, and also in the Middle East, in Dubai and Kuwait, Qatar, and all these sort of GCC nations that are sort of ripe for investment, right? So that's one of my businesses, along with other stuff that I do in London, which is also real estate related. And then another business venture that I'm involved in is I teach, but I don't teach, but I work with an organization that helps medical professionals invest their money, right? And it's not Pokemon investing. This is traditional investments. So we're talking like building out a portfolio with a basket of goods around sort of index funds, ETFs. We're talking about the S&P 500, dollar cost averaging into stocks, shares, some cryptocurrencies, mainly stable coins, altcoins, stuff like that. So I'm part of that organization where part of what I do is guiding people through the real estate side of investing, but also a lot of people don't know this. And here comes the shocker. When I was younger, I actually worked at a trading brokerage, right? So I kind of understand that market really, really well. I understand sort of a lot of the traps and pitfalls of general trading for the average retail trader and investor. So because I have that insight, like a lot of people don't know that when you place a trade on a platform, you're not actually placing any trade. Okay, the brokerage is taking the other side of your bet, essentially, right? So you're spread betting, and that order is never actually placed on the ECN. So like on a network where somebody else across the globe is taking the other end of your trade. The brokerages make money on the fact that they know that 90% of people will lose 90% of their funds in 90 days or less. This is a reality and a fact. But the 10% of the time that people are winning is going to count for nothing, because 90% of the time, 90% of people are losing. So what do? They just take the other end of your trade, and because overall you're going to lose. So I come in, and this is where I kind of help these people navigate the turmoil that is trying to understand how to invest for the long term. Again, we don't teach trading per se. We advocate for long-term investing, looking at really stable asset classes, and that's kind of what a business that I'm also involved in. Again, and that's spread across different regions. So we've got people in Europe, we've got people in North America, we've got people in some parts of the Gulf as well, and Asia that are part of the program. So that's kind of what I do. But I could never rely, not now anyway. And if I had 100K subs at that point, perhaps I could rely on some kind of meager source of income from YouTube, but that's not going to happen anytime soon.
I get that. I also have a full-time job. I've been a working adult for 15-ish years now. I've been 10 years at the same company. I have a pretty good career there. So that's how I fund everything. And I think what is starting to happen for my collecting goals now is I'm increasingly able to fund new collection purchases by selling the odd thing from my collection I bought a couple years ago that started to appreciate. And I'm hoping to shift more of my purchasing into that, but I will admit I still just take income from my job that if there's something I really want, it still ends up finding its way into Pokemon and into my closet, but that's really it. And so the YouTube thing and now the newsletter they don't really make money. Like I make some money on YouTube, but very, very little. Still very small channel. It'd be really cool if that grows, but I don't expect it to grow. Just like Baz said, I don't expect it to grow into anything significant that I rely on, but I have a lot of fun using my passion and excitement for Pokemon and all of the nerdy research I make into just investing psychology and collectibles markets and things like that to just build an audience and see where it takes me. So maybe one day, but for now it's all just kind of fun and a hobby and a learning experience for me.
Yeah, I just use spare income as well. Like coming back to like funding ventures, like if you're talking about Pokemon in particular, I don't spend, like, unless a really good opportunity comes available, I'm not dumping thousands and thousands of dollars or pounds on product, right? I'll pick up a case or two of something. 151 was an exception. I spent, a significant sum of money on 10 cases, but that was at a point where, and I've discussed it on a previous live stream with Barra, it was thousands of dollars. We're talking like around $10K, right? And or close to. And that was unique because it was the time where, like, I'd been eyeing this up anyway, but I was just waiting for the right time. I actually thought that had escaped me. I thought I was done with Japanese 151, but then the reprints hit, and then the first product available, and my Japanese guy was like, "Bro, I can get this for you at this price. I can get you 10 sealed cases shipped."
Damn.
And I was like, "Do you know what? I'm doing it, because if I don't do it, I'm going to look back in 2-3 years time and I'm going to think, why didn't I do it?"
Yeah.
And it might take longer. It could be 5 years. It could be 7 years. It doesn't really matter to me because I'm not here to sell it overnight anyway.
Mhm.
So like, yeah, so I kind of like just, I'm not going out. I don't want people to think like this guy has got like some crazy mad amount of investments. Like, you know, just because I talk about investing, a lot of the time I'm suggesting things that I would be looking at. I'm
Yeah.
suggesting things that, like, I made a video recently where I was telling people to buy like the build and battle stadiums. Now, some people will look at that and laugh. They'll be like, why are you telling people to buy build and battle stadiums? The only reason I said that is because it's quite affordable. It's like $60 and you get 12 sealed packs of, you know, sets that you can't get booster boxes for anymore. Now, that might not make the best investment, but it's still a sealed product. Say you want to have a Lost Origin sealed product that has, you know, a decent amount of packs in it. 12 packs is kind of like what an ETB would have in it, or, you know, a pack or two more. So
Mhm.
in my mind, it's like, if you're going to spend 60 quid on a Pokemon Center or $60 on a Pokemon Center ETB on a new set, then you could just spend that 60 on 12 packs of Lost Origin via the Build and Battle Stadium. Plus you have the promos, stamp promos, and there's a bunch of other ancillary product, other things in there that might, now it's not guaranteed that that will go up, but you know, it's not a bad choice if you're looking at your product. I think Barrett's frozen, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's been holding that lusciously I'm brushing my
Yeah.
hair pose for quite a while now.
You know what? I didn't even notice he was frozen because I just thought it was so natural. I was like, that's exactly what I would do with that hair.
Yeah, it's like one of those Greek statues just stood there, you know.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know if they can hear me, but I can see I'm
They can
froze.
hear you.
Yeah,
Hopefully
we can
they
see,
hear me.
we can hear you for sure, bro. Don't worry about it. You look fine. You look perfectly.
I mean, when do I know I look perfect? And plus, I mean, nobody said anything about my hair today.
Bro, your
I
hair
just
is
wanna say
looking
that. I just want to
luscious.
say that.
Your hair is looking luscious and wonderful. I wish I had your hairline. I wish I had those locks. Unfortunately, I don't. So I have to do with, you know, the baseball hat when the hair
Yeah.
isn't great. But yeah, it's
guys-
looking amazing. It's looking
You
amazing,
guys are
brother.
great. You guys are great. Don't say that. You guys are both great. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here.
Oh, okay.
Well, thank you.
I just wanted to pick up on something else. You're back, by the way. Oh no, you're frozen again.
No, yeah. But yeah,
Wilson, do you want to pull up Wilson's comment if you can, Barrett? The one about other TCGs.
yeah. But
Yeah,
yeah,
so
guys.
I'll-
Wait, can I just? Oh wait, I'll just type in the chat if they can hear me at least. Because I
I'm
know
sure
you
they
guys can
can.
hear me and see me. I just don't know why it doesn't work on YouTube.
Welcome back in, Inept. Inept, can you hear our luscious locked friend Barrett? Just type 1 in the chat or something, guys. Whoever's on.
Yeah, I will. I'll ask you.
I'm sure they can hear you.
Yeah. But by the way, should anyone care, I do have a part-time job, a small job in within finance. So yeah, being a mathematician, it is indeed handy with that.
My back's
So yeah,
sensitive.
I do have some experience with finance, and as a matter
The
of fact, should
mathematician
anyone care?
crack.
Yeah, should anyone care? The title of my thesis was Modern Portfolio Theory with Parameter Uncertainty. So I know how to get rich, but I won't tell you.
You're going to tell me, Barrett.
That's when you know. That's when you
You're
know.
going to tell me.
This is when you know you actually know how to get rich. Because I won't tell you. I won't sell you a course on it.
Nice.
But
You're
yeah,
gonna tell
just awesome.
gonna
Awesome.
find
Thank
out.
you guys. Thanks for the feedback. Sorry for the camera. I can see now. But yeah, sorry. At least you can hear me.
Gray, are you collecting anything else other than Pokemon?
No. I say no. I've got some MetaZoo. And I've got some Flesh and Blood from a couple years ago, but nothing that I've taken seriously. Like I've got a couple $100 in those two things, sealed products. And the MetaZoo, after MetaZoo went bankrupt, I like got the news. I was at work and I just like rushed home and I was like, I got to make a video about this tonight. And most of my videos I mentioned are scripted. There's a lot more time and effort that goes into it. And I just like spitballed it and ended up being one of my best videos for a while. After that, it did perform quite well. So once that did well and the prices got low enough, I bought another MetaZoo booster box. I added a first edition of like their original, I guess, what is it? Cryptid. Nation.
Cryptid Nations. Yeah.
Yeah. So I bought one of those, but I have one of those. I have one of a couple of the other sets. I found that I spend enough money and put enough time and energy into keeping up with Pokemon that I just don't have capacity for others. And even if I think they have potential, I'm happy to sit them out. Oh, my camera just died.
Okay, you're still here. You can keep talking. You've still got your beautiful smile on the screen. So
Thanks.
Due down. It's due down.
I know. What if my camera overheated or something?
I'm holding the ship now, guys. You got my face on the screen.
This turned out to be bad stream, basically.
Yeah, guys, this is Baz Toys and Scream. Make sure you subscribe to my channel only.
But yeah, I would conclude my thoughts on the other things. I don't dabble in them. I don't blame people who do. It's too much for me, so I leave it at that.
Yeah, I just on like other TCGs, I'm not interested in any other TCGs. Well, actually, no, I'll take that back. I'm interested in other TCGs, but I'm not interested in investing in other TCGs. I have collected some One Piece boxes, but that's admittedly that was during the time or just before the time that they started really having a huge amount of hype, and a lot of the OP2, OP1 had gone out of control anyway. OP2, OP3, OP4 boxes were starting to go like crazy. I remember selling what was the Romance Dawn box? I think it was OP4 or 5.
Wasn't it?
I think
isn't it the first one?
Romance Dawn, was that the first one? It wasn't.
Yeah, blue box.
I don't know, bro. No, it was definitely not the first box. It was the second box. It was like a dark burgundy brown colored box.
Let me check. Romance Dawn. Yeah, the OP01, Romance Dawn.
What was OP02?
OP02. Paramount War.
Paramount War. I bought Paramount War boxes, right? I was opening them at home because I was getting them for like £90, 85 to £90 from my LGS. And this is nobody locally, people didn't know that One Piece was going crazy, right? And where I live in London, I'm in Greenwich, which is I know there's a Greenwich in the States as well, in Connecticut, but we're in an area called Greenwich. So the county of it's like a county, right? It's like an area, and in Greenwich where we are right on the border of London. We're like literally there's between where we are and the next town up, it's countryside. It's all just farms and countryside, right? So where the LGS that I go to, I made a video about this actually. It's one of my sort of 6-7-month-old videos where I go to a bunch of different LGSs where I live and I just pick up product from there. And they were literally selling One Piece boxes for like 85, 90 pounds. And I remember I picked up like 2-3 of them. I ripped one open. I've got one and I sold one on eBay for like 200. I think it was like 200 pounds. Because I went on eBay and I saw it and I was like, wow, like these boxes are like that much. I paid for like less than half for this box. How are they that much on eBay? So let me just put it up there and see if it sold the same day within a couple of hours. I just put a buy it now listing on for 200 and it just went like straight away. The next day I turned back at the shop and I tried getting those boxes. There were none left. And the funny thing is thereon, from that point on, I had a good relationship and I still have a good relationship with one of the managers. And I just said to him, I said, look, listen, just if you get any One Piece boxes, let me know. I'm happy to come and grab 1 or 2 from you. These guys also sold me like Paldea Evolve boxes for like 90 at the time. They had so many Paldea boxes. They've probably still got boxes now, which they just won't sell because they know the market's gone a bit up on those ones. But yeah, I would walk in there and just pick up like, this is like less than distro prices, like very close to like distro prices for like 90, and you could just go and pick up. So that's how I just ended up picking up. I've got a couple of cases of Paldea, but I've got like just loads of loose boxes because whenever I'd go in there, I'd see a Paldea box for £90 and I'd be like, I gotta buy that. Like if I don't buy this, I'm just being dumb. Like just buy it and buy a few loose packs just to open to get the degeneracy out of you, and then just put the other boxes aside. But yeah, so the only thing aside from Pokemon, and it always leads back to Pokemon somehow, as you know. I just started talking about Paldea. But for me, like One Piece is the only thing I've speculated on, but I wouldn't put crazy money on it. I'd buy a box here and there if I could get them for a reasonable price, just with the pure speculation that maybe perhaps in 5, 10, 15 years time, somebody looks back at like OPO2 box and goes, oh, that's like base set 2, or that's like a jungle box, basically, like a jungle first edition. With that expectation, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I spend £90. So what?
Yeah. It's fun to have some exposure to some of these new games because, you know, you do think if it really succeeds, like in 20 years, if it has pulled off what Pokemon and like Magic have pulled off, like you're going to be pretty happy if you've got one of those boxes kicking around. It's kind of fun, but I don't take any of them seriously purely because I just don't have the time and energy like to keep up with it. And I don't want to throw significant resources behind something that I'm not going to keep up with. And you've talked about it a bit, Baz. I think the average Pokemon investor content channel does not talk enough about storage space. It's like, it is no joke. Like, I mean, my set here looks pretty clean, but I swear to God, I've got piles of loose cards in front of me. I'm surrounded by cardboard boxes, like sealed cases of different things. I've got a storage shelf over here. I've got another storage shelf around the corner at the back of my apartment. Like, it's a mess. And I literally don't have space for another collectibles hobby. I will become a sealed collector in that hobby because that's just who I am. I don't have room for more boxes, you know?
Yeah. Wait for it.
Just buy packs. Just buy packs. You know what?
Bulk.
Yeah.
This is just packs I've opened for fun, right?
Yeah.
That's
Tell
why
me about it.
That's why you never open packs.
Bulk. Wait for it. There's more. Bulk.
Nice.
More bulk.
Yeah. Oh man. I know this
Jumbo.
pain. Just
Jumbo.
loose. Like, what do you do with jumbos? It's like, I've
don't
seen
do
some
any-
people, you can buy frames for them and put them up on your wall, but like, you can run out of wall
You
space.
know
in no
what?
time.
You know what? I like. You guys ever seen Orion series?
What is that?
You guys ever seen Orion series?
No.
That's the Pikachu VMAX, by the way, from Vivid Voltage. Funny
Yeah.
we were just talking about that. Well, it's not the Rainbow Rare, but
No, just the base one. Honestly, I like the base one a lot because I don't like the rainbow color treatment that much.
Yeah.
You grade that yourself? Like, say your actual grading company?
That was
No,
ace
that's
rating,
what
I
you
think,
can-
right?
that's
Yeah.
Ace Rating. So that's like a UK.
Yeah.
Randolph Pokemon does this.
Not a fan, I gotta say.
Randolph Pokemon. No. So these, I used to do Whatnot streaming, right? And I used to pick up these as bounties. Like, you know, this is if you pull X card, they were like cheap, man. That was like £15.
Yeah, I'll
like,
bet. That makes
the
sense.
Leafeon was like £15. It was just something to get people in the streams. But bro, when I saw the Blake's Break stuff happening, I was just like, no, if I'm trying to do YouTube, I'd really don't want to be involved in that space where people are kind of attaching my name to those things.
Yeah.
So I kind of just stopped that streaming completely.
I like the idea of the sort of entertainment live auction stream thing, but it's also the amount of sort of weird gambling stuff, which I guess they've cracked down on a lot of like the bounties and prizes and other things, but I've like very mixed feelings on it. I totally understand why it's so popular and I understand why people would do it, but I've never done it. I don't plan to. I don't know.
Yeah,
I did it. You know, it's actually not bad money, but you have to spend a lot of time and
Yeah.
you need to be able to really entertain people and bring them in. But you know what, to be honest with you, like I've done streams where like I was on for like 4 or 5 hours and it's not crazy money, but I've done streams for 4 or 5 hours and I've made like close to like, this is gross by the way, yeah, not net, like £1,000 in like 4 or 5 hours.
Like £1,000 in sales.
Yeah, £1,000 in sales. You're probably going to make a
You
margin
got like
of
a
around
50% margin or something on one of those
no,
live
no,
streams.
less. I'd say less. I'd say probably you're probably looking at about a 30% margin.
Yeah. I mean, it's still huge,
then
but
it's £300 for like a day's work. Like that's pretty decent.
and it's
in
fun,
dollars.
right?
And it's fun. You're ripping packs. You're being a degenerate.
Yeah.
And you can pull I pulled some really like decent cards. Like when Paldea first came out, I pulled the Iono for one guy.
Cool.
The bounty for that was I'd graded with PSA if he liked, because I had a PSA submission going, and I did a video on this actually quite early on in the channel, and the guy got a 9. I knew it was going to be a 9. I told him, I said, look, I don't think it's going to get a 10, but you still want to grade it? He's like, yeah, do it. So I said, that's fine. I honored the bounty on that. But you can, and you don't need a huge amount of people. You just need like 15 to 20 people on your stream, like on Whatnot, for example, that just buy regularly, and you'll clear up. Like on a bad day, you do like 500 in sales.
Yeah.
And even at the 30% margin, there's still 150 pounds, which is, I don't know, $200 for a day's work. That's really not bad. And it's only 15, 20 people watching you. But bro, it just became too much for me. And I was like, do I want to do this full time? Do I want to be this Whatnot streamer that's just flipping packs all the time? What am I going to do when there's no packs available? Am I going to be buying UPCs or like scrambling at big box stores so I can get product to rip? And I was just like, no, I'd rather just do YouTube. I enjoy it, and I'll just open packs for myself to enjoy.
What I don't like about it is I don't like that in order to maintain your like revenue, like if you're going to put that kind of time into pack breaking, you're doing everything you can to try to like extract a lot of money from your audience. And the whole model only works if you have new audience members or returning audience members who are willing to keep giving you money. And I don't like the nature of that dynamic. It's not that I don't think it's like wrong. And I don't really like criticize people for, I don't dislike people for doing it or have any like major issues with it, but it's not the way I wanted to build my audience. Like I've never tried to be like a shop. I don't talk about like my eBay account. I'm not trying to drive traffic to it to like sell the stuff that I'm selling and things like that. I just want to give people really helpful, valuable information based on my experiences and learnings as I collect. And so I found that was something I've never wanted to do. I am thinking about doing a pack break live stream, but as a giveaway. So, newsletter subscribers will find out first, of course.
That would be brilliant. That would be brilliant. But actually, it also like coming back to you're talking about the eBay, and like I was watching an old Rusty video, and Rusty was talking about like he would not direct. Was it Rusty or somebody else? I'm sure it was Rusty, or maybe it was John Poke Radar. Maybe it was Radar or somebody on Radar's stream or Rusty. I can't remember the exact person, but they were like, I don't even talk about my eBay online, because what will end up happening is it was PokeRev flipping out. I went from Radar and it was PokeRev. I think Rev was talking about it where he said he just doesn't tell people about his eBay because like you'll end up getting a bunch of people clicking on his eBay just to see stuff. And it's apparently not great for the algo, where you got a bunch of people landing on your page just to look at the kind of product and packs and cards you've got, but not actually buying it. So, but yeah, it's one of those things, man. It's like, eBay and the streaming, like for some people is great. Like there's a guy I know, his name's Babsy, Poke Babsy. He does Whatnot. He's like one of the main Whatnot streamers for Pokemon in the UK. On top of, you've got Chloe and you've got Dean, two of the main UK sort of Pokemon sort of influencers. And, big up to them. They're doing quite well for themselves. They've done exceptionally well from the hobby. But this guy Babsy, bro, like I remember when 151 came out, like the Japanese 151 first came out, he must have had all of the cases in the UK. My guy would go through, there's no exaggeration, he could go through 15, 20 cases in one night. Easy. I'm like, where's he getting all these cases from?
Crazy.
But he's definitely making money. I think Whatnot were definitely there to support him as well. And I'm sure they would have input a lot to get people on the streams. But it's just not my kind of, just like you, bro. I can't invest that much time into trying to do that because that's really not what I want to do. And it's just like, I can barely keep an eye on the daily or weekly price movement on sealed product in the Pokemon market. Imagine trying to have to just stream daily, and these guys, some of them have to do it on a daily basis. Like we're talking
for sure
6-7 days a week and working late into the night. So as fun as it sounds, I think I would like very much like you to just do live pack rips, for people, if I could ever get to that level. But that just seems like more fun, than having the pressure of running a stream and needing to do certain sales figures.
I know Barrett's been patiently waiting for an
Yeah.
opportunity to answer this
I know
question.
it's your three best, but I didn't want to interrupt you. Sorry.
Go. You disappeared on me, my friend. That's why I carried on speaking.
I was gone for like 2 seconds.
You know what? I'm going to say before you answer this question, Zach was like, "Where is the straw hat, Dad?" You told me he was going to wear the straw hat. He made me a drink. He got me this drink. When I was talking to somebody earlier, it was Zach. He's like, I said,
Sorry,
don't
you
worry,
understand.
next time.
My bad. It's my bad. I'm not home. If I was home,
I know.
I'll
I
be
told
wearing
him, I said he wasn't home. He doesn't have it. Go,
Yeah.
please answer the question, man. Sorry, I want to hear you.
So it's a good question. I guess it would depend on what you consider a steal. But what I can say is, I think Pattern Trigger is pretty interesting at 50 euros. I think Shine Treasures, as we mentioned, at 40 is pretty interesting. Then when it comes to English, it's a good question. SV. I don't really consider. Yeah, I think I'd say none of them are a steal. I think they're just where they should be. If I think SV Base, not interest. Poldia, not really interest. Obsidian, don't care.
Don't say that. I have loads of cases.
Yeah, I know. We all make mistakes. That's why
I think Obsidian is great.
Definitely made one.
I do like Obsidian. That Charizard's the best Charizard ever.
I mean, the start is good, but other than that,
I think it's a cool one, but
yeah. I have one. I was able to get one for cheap. I think
nice,
it's super cool. But other than that, I don't think
my Obsidian Flames Pokemon Center ETBs. Those things have been ripping. That Charmander promo is doing real nice.
Yeah.
I've got a case of those. I bought a case of the ETBs when they came out. I bought a cases of the booster boxes as well. But I've got a case of those ETBs, which is kind of like making my investment worth it now at this point.
Yeah.
I like some of the IRs. Some of the IRs are decent. I think Opossum Bud did a video on this quite recently as well. I think some of the IRs are decent. They're not terrible.
Yeah. It's just a bit of a small set, so I think like the pull rates for any one IR, like it's kind of crazy the impact that just, I think we all, hopefully, I think most people recognize that, the chance of pulling one SIR over another or one IR over another it's like all the same. There's the rate of pulling one of those things is always the same. So then, if you have more in a set, then it's just less likely to pull the one that you're looking for. And I think Obsidian Flames just suffered from that a little bit because they just didn't have enough sets to pull cards from for that time. So it's a little bit light on the variety. But I agree that the hits that are in it, I think, are pretty solid. I think it's a pretty underappreciated set. And I think that Charmander promo is one of the best they've done.
It is. It's also a better set than Darkness Ablaze. I know people have compared a lot to that.
Oh, so much better.
It's way better than Darkness Ablaze, in my humble opinion, anyway.
Yeah, Darkness Ablaze is just the token like garbage set. It was from the worst part of Sword and Shield. It has like no redeeming qualities. I did not like that set. Clearly,
the booster box was quite cheap until quite recent as well. Like I think that was probably one of the last booster boxes I bought when completing my collection for Sword and Shield, because
it took a while for them to get down. It was expensive for a while. Like to think that just the base Charizard VMAX card, sort of like the base Pikachu VMAX card you had that graded example of, that base Charizard VMAX was kind of expensive for a while. Like I don't know what the prices were, but it was genuinely like a hit out of those boxes. And in the modern context, the idea of like, a base EX card being a real hit in a set is like laughable. You're right. And they didn't have the Rainbow Rare that was in Champion's Path. Like it was I'm not a fan of that set. The early Sword and Shield era, I am quite negative towards.
Well, as Barrett says, did anything really begin until Chilling Reign was released? That was, I think, the defining set. That was the
turnaround point.
Yeah,
I think Battle Styles was I like Battle Styles. Like I don't think it's a good set, but the fact that it had alternate arts immediately elevates it ahead of all the sets that preceded it.
Definitely. I think the T-Tar is a great card as well. I think it's really
Yeah.
it's underlooked. It's overlooked. Sorry, not underlooked. But I think it's
Yeah,
overlooked.
there's a couple great cards in there. Now, it was overprinted like crazy, and everything that followed it was better. So you have huge supply, and the demand shifted very quickly from it. But people were like, people will continue to bash that set. It is somewhat warranted, but it's like, how can you bash Battle Styles next to Vivid Voltage or like Sword and Shield base set? It's like there's just no comparison to me on some of those earlier sets. So
I think Temporal is a good Temporal Forces. I don't know. I keep banging on about this, guys, but maybe in 3 years' time, everyone's going to look at me and say, "Ha ha, you didn't know what you were talking about." But I really think that set, I don't know what it is. I think it's one of those sets where people don't have eyes on it right now, but I think that it's going to do really well. I think if you can pick that up for around, let me see what they're selling for right now. I'm not looking at TCG, by the way, guys. I'm looking at eBay in the UK. £100 all day long. 100, 199, 100, 110, 105. Guys, I think Temporal's a great set at 100, 105. If you can pick those up, that's kind of my little. That's what if somebody came to me today and said, or Paradox, actually Paradox isn't bad as well, but I slightly like Temporal slightly more than Paradox, maybe because of the Gengar. I'm just biased towards that set, but yeah, I would if there was something that you could get around for a reasonable price below MSRP, I think Temporal would do good. I think you can't go wrong with that set. It's not going to be the best thing since out of Scarlet and Violet, but it will do well. I think that set will do really well. It's got great potential. I love the artwork in that set. I think it's great.
Yeah, I have 3 Iron Crowns, as well as 2.
You've got cases of that, right?
Yeah, I got 2.
Yeah. Great
which
pickup, bro.
I bought them for 1K both.
That's a good price. 1K for both cases.
That's like
That's
1 American.
1.1 American, right?
Yeah,
bro. I think that's a really good price, man.
yeah, it's good for yeah.
That's cheaper than distro prices, bro.
I know.
1,000 divide that by 12,
I want
including tax and shipping.
Yeah, it was hand delivered. I won't tell you how I got it, but I got
Bro, that's a really good price, bro.
I know.
83.33 a box. That's not even what I get my stuff for. That's like what I get my stuff for plus VAT. Like I get them for 82.95, I think, a box plus 20%. So I'm paying like it's basically 100 on the dot. That's a solid investment, bro.
Follow me for more advice.
I'm gonna start paying you for your advice.
I like to buy low.
Yeah, no, that price you definitely bought at a good point.
Yeah. Plus, I do like the set, but I do like the set, but I think Surgeon will do better. But I'm not buying yet. I'll see soon. I will contact my.
I think to me, Surging is the short-term play. I think over the next year or two, maybe 2, but like next year, it'll perform very well for a new set. I'm expecting the same kind of reprint scenario as Vivid Voltage, and I could be wrong. I've been expecting a major reprint of English 151, which, I mean, we'll see what this product in the new year looks like and what the volumes are, but it hasn't really happened. Whereas in Japanese, it absolutely did, which I was also holding out for. You never know, but
yeah,
I don't like to bet against the reprints, You
just never know. Pokemon can just surprise us all as they've done so many times in the past.
Yeah.
It's just too unpredictable. But I'm not buying Surging Sparks now either. I haven't, because I wasn't able to get like cases from distro at the price that I needed them.
Right.
So you know what I said? I said, and I will tell anybody this as if they are like a family member I'm giving advice to. Guys, it's okay to miss opportunities. It is totally fine. Because if you miss Surging Sparks and you can never buy it at a price, if you can never buy it at a price that you're happy with or that's worth buying at, let it go. There'll be another set. Surging Sparks is here. Look at all the hype around Surging. Now Prismatic Evolutions is coming around. People are hyped about Prismatic. Guess what's going to happen a month or two after Prismatic? We're going to have the Rocket set. Then we're going to have the Trainer set. Then we're going to have whatever other set. And it's going to be a perpetual cycle. And at some point, if they do a reprint on the sets you've missed, just go and buy the boxes. Simple as that. Just be prepared for it financially. And if they don't do it, move on to the next thing. I've missed on Evolving. This is my biggest annoyance is I had access to Evolving at 120, 130, 140, 145 in the damn shops. I went and picked up 2 boxes and ripped them with my kids. I think I recorded one and I didn't record the other because I had no idea that it was going to do what it would have done.
Yeah.
I missed the opportunity. I've got an Evolving Skies box when it was at 300 just to add to my collection. And even then I thought I was overpaying, but I'm glad I did at 300.
Yeah.
But it was an opportunity missed, no problem. But I've been able to make that up on so many other investments there on after that. I bought a bunch of Chilling Reign, a bunch of Fusion Strike. I've got a bunch of Brilliant Stars. And that's going to be perpetually into the future with a bunch of other Pokemon product.
The performance of Evolving Skies as an investment has been insane. It's just an alien set within the context of all the other Sword and Shield sets. And it was a tough one because, even when it was cheap, so the prices you were just describing, it didn't get as cheap as other sets did. And you kind of had to decide that this was low enough and pull the trigger, which isn't always obvious. Like, it's not always easy to do. I have a lot more EV Heroes than I have Evolving Skies, but EV Heroes was even worse, right? Like, the lowest prices I saw were still, 3 to 4 times MSRP, which is what I could get them in Canada. And you're sitting there going, okay, like, this price is insane, but is it going to go lower? And at the time I was confident making that purchase because the Japanese stuff was going crazy. There was no sign that was going to change dramatically, which turned out to be correct. But it's still the appreciation since then. At its peaks, it was very good, but I didn't sell because I was holding out for more, like a little greedy boy. And it's still much above that price point, but it hasn't performed like crazy relative to the purchase price because it was so overpriced at the purchase. I think if you were to buy it at, assume you got the international tax on Japanese product, you never actually buy it for like MSRP usually from other countries. So let's assume it went for, instead of the sort of $50 is how I usually think about Japanese MSRP. I guess it's a little less in USD. Let's say it sold for like $80 to $100. The performance would be really good on that product, but instead it was doubling that already at the entry point. So I don't know why I wanted to talk about EV Heroes, but I really did.
No, but you didn't have to stop. I was getting into that, man. I was like, but no, actually, sorry. Since we're on this topic, do you find, and this is to both you, Barrett, as well as Gray, like, do you find sometimes you've perhaps it even happens now, but it's happened to me before that, like, sometimes when you've missed that opportunity, it's hard to sort of figure out what price point is the best price point to buy. Because to come back to Evolving Skies, for me, it was like I was adamant that I was when I finally realized I need to add this to my collection and I want to invest in this set, the prices were already, it was at like 200, 220, 250, 275, 300. And I'm thinking to myself, surely it's got to come down at some point. Surely there's got to be like a correction somewhere. Surely it's got to come. And I start seeing boxes at 320, 325. And I'm thinking, no, F this. I need to get this box now. Because if I don't, I could have let that run and it would have just carried on. But have you found that that's a difficult thing sometimes once you feel like as if I don't know if it's happened to you, but has it ever run away from you and then you've thought, no, I'm not paying that. And then you end up paying more anyway.
So it hasn't affected me too significantly. I generally just look for reprints, and if it reprints, I buy. And I figure even if it reprints again and the price goes lower, if I'm just adding it to my collection, I only want one box. Like with my Japanese collection, there's a lot of sets. I just want one box. I don't care. Like it's not a big deal. If it's bad, if the price is bad at release, I evaluate how likely a reprint is and decide whether or not to buy it. And when the reprint comes, which would be like for 151, then I just start buying aggressively. And I kind of assume that that's always, I've seen in general, that's been a good timing. If you don't do it at that time, then yeah, I think what you went through with Evolving says that's a tough one. And you just kind of, I think you just kind of bite the bullet and take your best swing at it. And you hope that it works out. And if it was like for Evolving Skies, if it reprinted again and the price tanked from the time you bought it, I'll bet you would have just said, fuck it.
Yeah, I would have said,
right?
F it, bro. I'm going in. I'm going to buy a whole case, or, or whatever. I would have just gone in. Yeah,
so that's kind of
sure.
how I look at it. Like you try to get the best price. If you're buying it for your collection, it kind of is what it is. Do your best. Try to use your experience and make a smart buy. And just tell yourself, if I mistimed this, maybe that's just now it's a new opportunity. I can go and buy more, and hopefully that's going to play out. So
interesting. Barrett, you look like you're tired. Do you have classes in the morning? Because I'm conscious of the fact that we're nearly at the 2 hour mark.
That's why I'm looking at the time.
Okay. All right, let's wrap it up then.
I'm happy to wrap up anytime, guys.
Yeah. So, well,
I can talk for hours, but as Barrett, poor lad, has got his mathematics to do in the morning.
I mean, just say you just want to stick around because you want to look at my hair the whole time. Just
no, you're bloody frozen. You're bloody frozen half of the screen.
I'm not frozen now.
Hair looks good though.
Your hair does look amazing. I mean, you can't deny the fact that you have the luscious locks. But for me, I don't know. You've just been frozen for like a good 40 minutes of the stream.
I know. I don't know what's happening. I'm sorry, guys, but
it's okay. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah. So I'll just say that I don't. I'm lucky because the way I'm built, I don't care. So if I miss out, I don't care. I know there's gonna be something else, and if it's not gonna
evil
be Pokemon,
person,
it's not gonna be Pokemon. It could be in the stock market, because also that's part of my job. So I know where to look. I know what to look for. If I don't find any Pokemon, I couldn't care less. So I'm lucky. I just don't care, and I think that's I think that should be, to be honest, jokes aside, the investor mindset. Don't care. I mean, you should care what you do, but don't miss out. You don't need to let emotions run your decisions.
DGAF.
Rational. Yeah. Be rational, and otherwise you're gonna F it up.
Yeah, you will F it up. Should we wrap it up, guys? I just wanted to say thanks to everyone watching, by the way. Trung, Adrian, Promptu, Wilson. I'm just going to shout out you lot. Robert, all of you guys. Pokemon Player, Buddy. I know a few guys have come over from Gray's, obviously from Gray's audience. Yep. Inept, as always, Buddy, if you're still watching, thank you so much. Always positive, always sending good vibes. Just Nicks, all of you guys, really, really appreciate you watching, because iFOMO as well. I've noticed iFOMO and Dingo as well. You guys, thank you so much, man. Appreciate you all. When we can see that there's, even 10, 12 people watching it, it's really, it's positive. It's awesome. And it's nice for us to, it's awesome because getting 10 people to watch you for like an hour is a tough ask.
Crazy.
They've all been paid by me. Don't worry.
Thank you for paying them.
Paid in booster packs.
So you wouldn't feel bad for coming over. Thank you, guys. Special thank you to you guys, both of you guys. Great, Bass, for coming over the channel. You're always welcome whenever you
appreciate
want.
That.
Yeah, great. Whenever, man. It's nice to have you on board. It's refreshing to have an alternative perspective as well from across the pond, because me and obviously Barra are sort of next door to each other, although the markets are slightly different. It's great to get a perspective from the Canadian side as well, from North America sort of thing. So
it's kind of fun coming in and hearing the European takes as well. So I enjoy it. Now, I will say the Canadian perspective is a lot closer to Europe than you might think. Like, we don't get any good deals over here. All the good stuff's in the US. Up in the Great White North, it's a little rough. So
we'll have to bring some American then.
Yo, Barry, can I before we go, can I plug my newsletter one more time?
Sure, absolutely. Thanks, well, wait, actually, wait.
Well,
whenever you're ready.
To all 11 people watching.
To all 11 people, I'm starting a newsletter where I basically just write about the same ideas that you'll find on my channel if you've been watching and enjoy it. I find writing a really fun way for me to explore these ideas, and hopefully it'll be useful to people, but also to incentivize you a bit more if that's not enough. I am doing a giveaway to give away a bunch of cards that I pulled from Stellar Crown recently, including this bad boy right here, the beautiful Hydro Apple EX. There'll be many more as well. You can find the details on the newsletter. You can just go to tcgbuyersclub.com. It'll redirect you right to where you can sign up and find out all the details. And of course, I appreciate anyone who wants to support. And if you just want to enter the giveaway, that's fine too. Enjoy it.
Awesome. You know what, Bess? This guy looks like it makes YouTube videos. It seems good. Seems good.
He does. He seems really good at what he does. This guy does.
Yeah.
We should have him on more often.
Yeah. All
guys,
right,
if you are watching, definitely subscribe to the newsletter and to the giveaway. Gray's a great guy. Fantastic. Good perspective on the hobby as well. And yeah, pleasure speaking to you all, gents. It's been a nice chat.
Appreciate you.
It's been awesome. Thanks a lot, guys.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. You guys have a great evening, day, whatever.
I'm gonna get sleep. I'm knackered. I've been up since 5:30 a.m. I need to sleep. See you guys.
All right, Phil.
Thanks a lot, guys.
See ya.
Ciao.
Ciao.
What's going on?
I don't know. I'm looking like, are we still live?
We are.
Oh, we are. Oh, okay. Well, now whose channel is it?